Um, Addressing issues like homelessness and early childhood investments, you will hear people in our sector talk about the need for evidence and the need for data and the need for what works and the need for innovation. I think that's mostly, not completely, I think that's mostly nonsense. Okay? This is not an innovation problem. This is not a science problem or a data problem or an evidence problem. Okay? We know what works with homelessness, really. We may not know everything we want to know. We know what works. Come on now. This is a will problem. This is a political problem. Right? So, by contrast, when the crack cocaine epidemic hit, the nation's response was not mental health and drug treatment expansion. The nation's response was 3 strikes and you're out. On Monday, it was a bumper sticker. On Tuesday, it was a campaign slogan. On Wednesday, it was national law. And 40 years later, the state of California, since 3 strikes and you're out, has built 22 new prisons and 1 new college. Okay? And so, when I hear about, oh, we need more science, we need more evidence, we need to, crack more papers out and get them in front of the elected officials, as if, the pristine paper that talks about the evidence-driven, cost-saving support, we just get it in front of the city council or the board of supervisors or the legislature, and elves will take that scientific evidence and turn it into public policy just because they're nice, right? It doesn't work that way, right? This is a will problem, right? And so the will problem in this case is, okay, I'll give you a concrete example. There is someone can correct me on the dollar figure, I think a $2 billion proposal in front of the Board of Supervisors here in LA about building a new jail. Okay? I think it's $2 billion, it may be a little less. So this is, okay, so do we need it? Really? Let's program that $2 billion for community-based mental health and supporting services that we know works. And instead of adding, refurbishing it, now I know prisoners need better conditions, all that stuff, but I'm using that to make a point, okay? So what I get are proposals, and this is what kind of makes me crazy, although I understand it, for, the $100,000 proposal to expand, a few more beds in that supportive services program. And the prison system has your $2 billion. And it's a lack of will that we can't get there. This is why we fund advocacy, okay? We fund some direct services, but we try and fund it in service of advocacy because if we cherish the values as a state that we do, why are we spending more money on prisons than on higher education? Explain that to me. And I think we need to be unified in a shared vision of what we all stand for. Why do we have this sector in the first place? Paraphrasing the Pope says communism gives us equality without liberty, and capitalism gives us liberty without equality. It's the job of the Delta sector to fix that problem on the capital side. Right? And so I think a full-on frontal assault on inequality and lack of opportunity is the job of our sector, no matter where you sit in that equation, whether you're in the homelessness side and someone else is in early childhood and someone else is in schools. But I think we need to have a shared sense of that's why we're in this, that's why we do this work, and that's why we're doing it together, even if we're doing it from the silo. And I think the systems and like the dollar spending, what we spend. This is why we do advocacy. Mm-hmm. We do $150 million in grants a year. That's less than 0.3% of the state Medicaid budget. It's budget dust, right? So we've got to get to a conversation where existing public dollars need to be in a values-driven and evidence-supported way get to where we need these dollars to go. And it's going to, in order for that to happen, we're each going to have to raise our game around risk. It would take all of us. How many of you have ever been to a county board of supervisors meeting? Okay, so maybe a quarter of you. So all of us would have to show up at the next county board of supervisors meeting saying, forget about the $2 billion for the jail, we want community-based mental health services. Right? It would take that kind of, does that make sense? Yeah. So